Welcome to Political Beatdown. I am your host, Michael Cohen, along with my new co-host, because Ben is still on baby duty, taking care of Sochi and taking care of his beautiful little girl. I'm here with his brother, Brett. All right. And so we will, by the way, her name is Jimena, also spelled with an X. It's interesting because Sochi is spelled with an X and they want to continue that. But mama's good, baby's good, Ben's good. We're just doing the right thing here because that's who we are. Right, Brett? Right, Uncle Brett?
It's great to be an uncle again. I mean, Jordy has a child also, and I'm an uncle to kids on my wife's side. But it's so amazing.
By the way,
really,
the DNA has not proven that Jordy is the dad. So
of Jordy's. I gotta say, Ben's baby looks just like him, like a spitting image. It is unbelievable. You'll see pictures eventually. But Cohen, I was thinking this is the craziest thing because last episode we could pick up right where we left off. First off, we were playing the clips of Donald Trump and the flies, right? The flies were flying around him and he was going, I hate these flies. Why are the flies coming? And you go, Von Schützenpants, they're attracted to.
By the way, because, listen, as I said before, flies are attracted to shit, right? Now, as you are certainly obviously aware, Trump was in Detroit, a place that Donald Trump has often mocked, from time to time. And I can't understand why anybody would show up to a rally or to any event on somebody that, shits all over them. But some unusual stuff happened. And, when Brett and I were speaking about this, we're both I'm an adult, 58 years old, but I'm really a baby at heart. I'm a child. When we start talking about gas and farting, and so
I think we could just get into it, Cohen. Trump farted at the Detroit. Trump farted at the Detroit Economic Club. Let's play the clip.
This is a catastrophe for the American dream and a dire crisis.
Now, just so it sneaks up on you quick, and so let's just.
Can you do me a favor? Can we play that? Can we play that one more time?
This is a catastrophe for the American dream and a dire crisis.
And so now, Cohen, what we're doing is we're having our researchers go through the event because we've already detected at least one other point in the speech where this happened. And so it continued to happen. So, but in all seriousness, to bring it back, you were talking about the flies last time. You obviously have the nickname for him. This is what he does in front of the Detroit Economic Club when he is there. And I think it really confirms a lot of Ben's reporting from inside the courtroom about Donald Trump and his behavior there when that made the news. Then we had multiple sources back then who had told us Donald Trump was flatulating in the courtroom quite frequently and was kind of stinking the place up. But now you have it there. And this event, though, I think it's kind of indicative of Donald Trump's appearance at this Detroit Economic Club. Every time I see him now, he seems to be slower, more incoherent, slurring his words. And Michael, you said before that it's a city that he has shit on in the past, but not only has he shit on the city in the past, he did it at the event.
Well, you're talking about literally and figuratively now.
Exactly.
Which is the best way to which is really the best way to kind of put this into perspective, literally and figuratively. I mean, this is really something very, very special. But I do want to say that, you want to call it flatulence. I grew up in a house with parents. My father is an otolaryngologist, a head and neck reconstructive surgeon. My mom was a surgical nurse, the whole bit. I learned to read, right? As a child, like when I was 3 years old, reading AMA, the American Medical Association magazines, as well as JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. That's where I actually learned how to read. And so one of the things that I do, and I am certainly aware of, is that this sort of action, this behavior is indicative, by the way, and this is not a laughing matter, nor is it a joke, but it is an aspect of early onset dementia. This is real. I mean, and I really want, people to understand. I'm not making fun of this at all. I do think it's funny that a guy who is running for the presidency of the United States is talking to, a group of economists and so on, and he's just, dropping wolf bait while this whole shit is going on, right? And and if you notice, he takes a quick pause, and it snuck up on him is right.
Oh, he tries to cover it up by inhaling. He tries to cover it up by making a big inhale. No, he goes,
right.
But
right. I mean, he was, he probably realized it was coming and didn't think it was going to be a loud one. And then all of a sudden, for all you know, it could have been a shard, but, I like the fact that you use the term flatulence. I remember as a young kid, we used to turn around. My parents would be like, you never say like the word piss, right? Or shit. It would always be urinate or defecate and stuff like that.
I'm trying to keep it professional, I'm trying
I
to
knew. That's you, because you Meiselas brothers, you guys are really professional. I, on the other hand, I'm just an overgrown child.
I'm getting word from our control room that we have a second fart clip. Let's play that clip.
From commerce to labor to FEMA. From commerce to labor to FEMA.
Listen, did you hear it after labor?
It almost seems as if, though, and the funny thing is, it almost seems like it's like added in AI somehow or another. It is not.
No,
my
it's not.
understanding
It's legitimately
from
not.
all people who have reviewed this, some who were there, they all claim that this actually happened, that they heard it, which is amazing to me, because the mic is there by his mouth. He knows he's going to be dropping one, and so he gets ready in case it's going to be a loud one, which clearly it must have been, right? And he makes sounds into the mic. It's a FEMA. I mean, he's over exaggerating the words in order to drown out the sound.
What was Donald Trump's comments about the hurricane, one of the wettest from the standpoints of water? I think that's an apt description for those two moments that we showed you right there. But anyway, let's go to the let's go to the metaphorical. Donald Trump tells the group at the Detroit Economic Club, he warns them that the whole country is going to be like Detroit if he doesn't win. Watch this.
I don't think anything that we're talking about today is high on our list. The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands.
He said that to the people in Detroit.
Brett, do you know how many times when I was with him, I would hear him shit all over Detroit, Michigan? And why Detroit, Michigan? Because it's predominantly, at least the way he sees it, it's predominantly Black. And he believes that all communities, I'll never forget when he turned around and he said to me once, name a state or a country that is run by a Black. And that's how he referred to him, as by a Black. No, I'm dead serious here. I'm not making this up. This is fact. I actually have it in my book from years ago. So I'm not making it up for the purpose of Political Beatdown. This is fact. He said, name a state or a country that's run by a Black that's not a shithole. And that's like when he was talking about, for example, South Africa with Nelson Mandela and so on. And I said, how about the United States? Because at that time, Barack Obama was president. And he turns around and he goes, fuck you, right? And so on. He believes that anytime that there's a Black person who is in charge, that everything is horrible, everything is shit. It's a shithole, whether it's Detroit, Michigan. So he's in Detroit, Brett. I want you to imagine this. He's in Detroit and he's shitting on the people of Detroit. I don't get it.
It's really shameful. And, I think judging by your comments about him and his past statements, I think he is also sending out a bit of a dog whistle to the people in the room. Like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those other people in Detroit. I think it is a racist dog whistle that he is certainly putting out there. By the way, Detroit's known as being like one of the cities in the country, like one of the big cities in the country that's had like a massive resurgence in the past few years. So it's like not even a good example. But let's go through more of Donald Trump's. This was all his economic economic speech. Donald Trump said the biggest threat to democracy, stupid people. Let's take a listen to this.
You see, that's the real threat to democracy, stupid people. That's the threat. Our biggest threat to democracy is stupid people.
That's one of those scenarios where he doesn't know how right he is. But like Michael Cohen always says on this show, it's deflection and it is projection and it is confession from Donald Trump.
How many times have you heard me, Brett, turn around and say, whether it's on this program with our community of brigaders, or it's on my new YouTube channel, Michael Cohen Show, or my Mea Culpa podcast, or even when I go on TikTok every night, right? I always call the maggots morons, the maggot morons, 3 teeth and 4 brain-celled morons. He's 100% right that the biggest threat to this country, to our democratic republic, is stupid people. And it's the stupid people that are following Trump down the dumpster, right down the dumpster in his cult of stupidity. I truly do not understand what they are doing.
Yeah, no, that's why Donald Trump has always said, I love the uneducated. And it's why you see Republicans throughout the country constantly try to cut the Department of Education and money from education funding. It makes people easier to manipulate. And Donald Trump sees that. And it's like it's a coordinated effort, quite frankly, across this entire Republican Party to do. And he just takes advantage of people. And one of the ways he does that is by just fear mongering nonstop, also playing to people's primer kind of fears and desires. One of those fears is fears of immigrants, right? Fears of the other, the xenophobia. And so you saw at Trump's event in Detroit, you saw him say the most horrific things about immigrants. If we have this clip, let's play it. A warning about the language here, because it's pretty atrocious.
We allowed them to come in and raid and rape our country. That's what they did. Oh, he used the word rape. That's right. I used the word rape. They raped our country.
I mean, listen to the person who's speaking, an adjudicated sexual assaulter who a judge determined to, have done just that. It's really foul stuff that we are seeing from Trump, especially in these final moments of the campaign. And if you notice, everything is a lie, everything is a conspiracy, and everything now is just designed to try to say, look at those scary immigrants, look at those scary brown people. It's the entire strategy.
It's fear-mongering, as you described it. It's gaslighting and fear-mongering. You know, when he went so far, as we all know, in Springfield, Ohio, making the claims that, the Haitian immigrants, the migrants that are there, are eating your cats, your dogs, and the geese from the local ponds. But just the other day, he turned around and he brought in another group of people who are Black. I forget where they were from. You know what I'm talking about? He brought it from the Congo. He started going after now people from the Congo. It's so crazy. What he's doing is he's pitting a race war again. And it's amazing to me because what do we know? We know that Donald Trump, the only group that he has not disparaged at some point, he's disparaged, let's see, Muslims, Mexicans, Jews. He's disparaged Blacks, Haitians, people from the Congo. Let's see, who else? You can go on and on and on. The only group of people that he has not disparaged, the white Christian nationalists, also known, of course, as the KKK or white supremacists, neo-Nazis. This is the guy, meaning Donald Trump, refused to denounce David Duke. Quite frankly, I don't even know who David Duke is. I don't even know who he is. Lie. It's a lie. When he turned around and he started talking about Charlottesville, you may remember that. When he turned around and said there's good people on both sides. Let me be very clear to my friends, to you, my friends, my brigaders. My father, a Holocaust survivor. There is no such thing as a good Nazi. I'm just sorry. There's just not. All right. This is beyond gaslighting. It's beyond bullshit. Brett nailed it when he said everything so far that Donald is saying at all of these rallies, at these group meetings, or whatever you want to call them, they are filled with nothing but lies upon lies upon lies. And the goal is to make me hate you and you hate me. That's all that it is. He thinks that this is a winning strategy. I say this strategy will fail, and it will fail him miserably. Thank God.
Now, there's a phrase in, I think it's a German phrase, although that could just be one of the things that gets, passed along through the years, and it's just, unattributed to anybody. But I remember hearing the phrase that someone said, if there's a Nazi at a table and there's 10 other people sitting there next to him, you're at a table with 11 Nazis. And that's often how I feel about Donald Trump and those who currently associate with Donald Trump. And in addition to, fear mongering about immigrants, one of the things that Trump does is he does this weird begging thing to women. And he does it also by using the fear mongering of immigrants. His whole thing is like, we spoke about this a couple episodes ago when he would say, I am your protector. I will protect you. And how creepy that was. And what he's saying to them is, I will protect you from immigrants moving into your suburbs. And he's still going on about this at every event. And by the way, he did this in 2022. Didn't work. But and I want to remind everybody, as we're playing these clips, he's speaking at the Detroit Economic Forum. I don't know what any of this has to do with the economy, but let's hear Donald Trump say that women love him. Let's watch this.
And it wouldn't resonate at all with the other side. You have to have the right messenger. Somebody said, oh, we love Trump policy, but we don't like Trump. I think they do. They said that women don't like me. I think women love me because they want to be safe. And with me, they're safe. With other people, they're not safe. It's true.
No, I don't think that's true.
That's safe. Ask E. Jean Carroll. Right? Ask some Reservos. Ask the 20 women that claim that Trump groped them or improperly, touched them in different ways. Sure. You're saying, boy, talk about, once again, delusional. I don't know if there's another way to put it, right? Delusional.
Delusional, and just like the gaslighting ramped up to a billion, and like how foul for a person who was adjudicated to have committed sexual assault, who has dozens and dozens of accusers, the guy who rolled back the protections of Roe v. Wade, for you to act like you're some sort of protector as women. I think all of this sort of rhetoric, though, really backfires. And I think we're seeing it in the data of female voters, of suburban voters. If we have time later, I definitely want to get to a lot of that. But one of the things I just really noticed throughout this whole event today was what I brought up earlier, which was he just felt so slow and rambling. He couldn't really have a coherent thought. He kept waffling from subject to subject. It was even worse than usual. And listen to this rant about voter ID.
Right, but by the way, while you're looking at this video, just take a look at his actual skin coloring. Look at the way he looks like he's sweating. He looks like, honestly, he looks like shit. All right. And I'm not saying it because I despise everything that the man stands for now. I'm saying it because I'm just saying it as a viewer watching a guy who I used to know very, very well, a very different Donald Trump. But I'm looking at him just from the physical standpoint now. He looks like shit. Play the clip.
Aren't they approving voter ID? Democrats don't want voter ID. You know why? Because they want to cheat. But they don't want to. I say, they don't. When I first thought, I thought I was seeing things. I thought I was like, I didn't hear that when I first started this whole, that say the Democrats will not approve voter ID. And it's only gotten worse. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, just passed a bill, he signed a bill that you're not even allowed to ask anybody whether or not they have voter ID. Not only.
One of the things I like doing is reading the transcript of his words. So I'll read you just the beginning of what he said there, because when he says it, I think sometimes our brains are now designed to filter out the crazy a little bit because we hear the voice nonstop. But I'll read it for you right now. They don't wanna. I say, oh, they don't wanna. When I thought I was seeing things. I thought I was I didn't hear that when I first start this they'd said the Democrats will not approve voter ID. These are not the thoughts of a person who
If you didn't know that Donald Trump was at an economic forum, if you didn't know that it was Donald Trump talking about, I guess, voter ID, right? Because he brought that up before the statement that you were reading, you would have no idea what the hell he's talking about. It could be talking about his windmills again. He could be talking about electric boats and sharks and being electrocuted versus being eaten. You have no idea what the hell the guy's talking about. But I want to jump back, Brett, to something that you brought up, and it should not be ignored. Von Schitzenpants right now was speaking in all the clips that we've been showing you. He's been speaking to the Detroit Economic Club. And with everything that we've now shown you, is there one single policy regarding the economy? Is there one single thing that the folks that are there are being educated on in terms of this is what the guy will do if in fact that he is elected president? Aren't you supposed to be talking to an economic club about economic policies, the United States, the economy, something to do, right, with what that club is founded upon? No, he's talking about everything else. He's talking about everything else except he's talking about rockets, women, he's talking about voter ID, he's talking about farting. I mean, for God's sakes, it's like a basketball player, right, suiting up and then going onto a football field or going onto a soccer field. It's like, do you realize that you are before an economic club? And so far you have talked about every single thing except for what they're there for, what they're even interested, why they even have an economic club. It's not about voter ID. It's not about women who love you. It's not about, democracy, threat to democracy. I don't even understand what the guy is saying anymore. But here's the saddest part. Neither does he, based upon the reading that Brett just made. He has no idea what he's even talking about.
If you saw that person on the street corner or on the subway, whatever it is, you'd run to the other train, you would run to the opposite side of the street, you would get the hell away, and people just continue to treat this guy like this is normal. And that's, I think, the thing that sometimes I feel like, am I being gaslighted by everybody on the planet? Like it can't just be us who think this way. And that's one of the reasons why I so appreciate this community here on Political Beatdown and on the Midas Touch Network, because we're not trying to, say like just espouse ideas based on a political ideology. We're trying to say this is freaking nuts. This is crazy. That's not conservative. That's not Republican, Democrat. That's not any labels. That's just crazy. And we don't want any of that. And one of the things I've noticed, Cohen, is since President Biden has gotten out of the race for president, he is just done with the filter. It's no filter Biden. He is just going after Donald Trump like he should, because Donald Trump is also weaponizing his craziness to spread harmful disinformation and lies about these natural disasters that keep happening. And so we were speaking last time about Hurricane Helene. Now we have Hurricane Milton in Florida. Donald Trump continues to spread lies about the response. And it reminds me of COVID when he spread lies about the vaccine and everything. And what happens is his followers believe him and they end up dying because they don't listen to people on the ground who are telling them to evacuate or how to prepare, because they think it's all fake news. So it's not just rhetoric. But, one of the things I love is Biden today was asked a little bit about, Trump and spreading some of these lies and some of these
before we even get to Biden, he then goes on and he brings up like Elon Musk. Again, Elon Musk is an impressive guy. Let's all be clear about something. Elon Musk is impressive. He's the richest guy, right, in the world, right? Just about, or one of them. And he's ingenious in terms of, he's like the modern day, I don't even know who it would be, Ben Franklin, right? I mean, Ben Franklin was a great inventor. Elon Musk has taken it, obviously, with science and technology to a whole nother direction. So Donald is now playing off of Elon Musk's name. He's playing off of Elon Musk's notoriety. Not that it's good. A lot of people fucking hate Elon Musk. They think that he abuses the system, that he's taking advantage and so on. So what does Donald have to bring up? Again, we're at an economic forum. And von Schitzenpants, the schmuck and a half, he's talking about rockets. Brett, help me out here. Go play. Do we have a video of this thing?
I think let's play. This is
that video. This is nuts.
Engines back. That was the first I realized. I said, who the hell did that? I saw engines about 3-4 years ago. These things were coming, cylinders, no wings, no nothing. And they're coming down very slowly, landing on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a circle. Boom. Reminded me of the Biden circles that he used to have, right? He'd have 8 circles and he couldn't fill them up. But then I heard he beat us with the popular vote. I don't know. Couldn't fill up the 8 circles. I always loved those circles. They were so beautiful. They were so beautiful to look at. In fact, the person that did them, that was the best thing about the level of that circle was great. But they couldn't get people, so they used to have the press stand in those circles because they couldn't get the people. Then I heard we lost. Oh, we lost. No, we're never going to let that happen again. But we've been abused by other countries. We've been abused by our own politicians, really more than other countries.
This is objectively insane. Like, this is objective insanity. What the hell is he talking about? He's talking about the circles from when President Biden gave speeches during COVID. Like, he's still talking about the 2020 election and we got beaten, but actually we didn't. The rambling is crazy. I know he likes to call it the weave, but it's really, he's not weaving anything together. These are just synapses misfiring, I think, in his brain. And I don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, I listen, I don't think he knows what's going on. It's just word vomit. Whatever comes to his mind. What he's referring to is he's referring to the rockets that propel the what do you call it? The carriage into space, right? Into where the astronauts are and so on. And after they finish firing, what Elon Musk with SpaceX did is they had like a drone where you push a button and it lands back on, the site that it's programmed to land, which is where it took off. That's what he's referring to. Most people didn't even understand what he's babbling about, including he doesn't understand. I want to say this about this community. Because I try to read as many of the comments that pass through as I possibly can. And we are all, for the most part, uniform in our belief that Donald Trump is unfit, not just to be president, he's unfit to be dog catcher, that the man makes absolutely no sense. He is a complete and total danger to our democratic republic in every way, shape, and form. And one of the things that you get here on this Midas Touch Network, on Beatdown, on my YouTube channel, and so on, my Mea Culpa podcast, you may not like the way that I speak. My mom doesn't like it either. My dad doesn't like it for sure. My siblings, they're less than thrilled with it as well, including now my newest siblings, the entire Meiselas family. They're like, just tone the shit down. And I can't, right? I'm just a passionate guy when it comes to this. But one thing you're never going to get here on this Midas Touch Network or any of its affiliates, like my Mea Culpa podcast, Legal AF, Meiselas Brothers, and all that, you're not getting bullshit. You're not getting like what you'd see on Fox News or even, for example, CNN when they're going to sugarcoat the shit. We don't play that game. Why? Because it doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit the conversation. All right? It just doesn't. A lie is a lie. And that's why I'm saying 4:30 to 5:30 on our Tuesdays and Thursdays Political Beatdown show. Ask your friend. Tell one friend, each and every one of you. Tell one friend to make sure that they join us as well. Bring somebody new into the community because we have under 30 days, my friends, to make the biggest difference in the history of this country to ensure that von Schitzenpants, not only is he not reelected and has the ability to stink up the Oval Office, that motherfucker should never even be allowed on the grounds of the White House. He is a traitorous bastard who doesn't give a fuck about anyone or anything other than himself. He's willing And now, according to his own words, not Michael Cohen's words, not Brett Meiselas' words, not Ben's words, who's off taking care of his wife as he should be, in his own words, he's been speaking with Vladimir Putin allegedly 7 times over the course of the last 3.5, 4 years. Well, number one, that's a violation of the Logan Act. Number two, we don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Number three, we do know that he took top secret documents back to Mar-a-Lago. So for all you know, some of our top secret documents and information has been given over to Vladimir Putin. Do you realize the danger that this puts our country in, our national security? And yes, Heather, 27 days we have left before we have to go to the polls and make sure that this piece of shit he shouldn't even be allowed in D.C. as far as I'm concerned. But yet he's still speaking with foreign leaders in violation of the Logan Act, putting our national security in danger. This is beyond traitorous.
Well, I know I'm certainly not going to be able to top that rant, which was pitch perfect, Cohen, and very well said. Listen, we're going to take a quick break in a second. When we get back, I got to show you these empty crowds that Trump had in Pennsylvania. The whole back section was empty. I want to speak about Trump's meltdown over Vice President Harris's interview on 60 Minutes, give you some other updates about some other things if we get those. First, remember to go to youtube.com/@the-Michael-Cohen-Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's new YouTube channel. Cohen, what you at now? 180, 160?
No, 202,000 subscribers. So 73 days, 202,000.
That's got to be some sort of record. That's amazing. Go
know,
subscribe.
I'm still waiting for my plaque.
So am I. Believe me, I hit them up every day for you. You could, the link is in the description to this video. Subscribe to patreon.com/political beatdown for exclusive content. And you get to meet Michael Cohen and do Q&As with him there.
Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday, 100%.
Tuesday.
So sign up right now so that you can make sure that you're there. And that way, when we send you the secret link, you come right on. We have too much to talk about. At that time, it'll be 23 days. So Tuesday. All right. That sounds great. And also subscribe to the Mea Culpa podcast anywhere you get podcasts. That's the one with the blue background. Do that now. Leave us a 5-star review. Hey, we got a whole lot more to talk about. And Cohen, I can't wait to get your take on it all. So stick around. We'll be right back after this.
Just accept irritation as a normal part of shaving? Henson Shaving asked that question, and they didn't like the answer. So you know what they did? They decided to do something about it. They brought aerospace precision to the world of shaving. I mean, their razors are manufactured in the same shop that made parts for a Mars rover and the International Space Station. That level of precision, it translates to a gentler shave for your skin. So it's not about gimmicks or moisturizing strips. It's about fundamentally changing how a razor interacts with your skin. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. So visit hensonshaving.com/beat to pick the razor for you and use code BEAT and you'll get 2 years. Listen, 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. So just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com. That's hensonshaving.com/beat and use code BEAT. It's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%. Get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Welcome back.
I'm passionate about our sponsors, Brett. I'm sorry, we get a couple of jerk offs in our, making comments. Oh, they hate my voice, blah, blah, blah. And don't listen. Put it on mute if you don't like it. I get passionate about our sponsors. They happen to be really good sheets, and it happens to be a great razor. I didn't use it today, but it happens to be a great razor. So thank you to both of our sponsors.
I think the reads are A+, Cohen, if I do say so myself.
Brett.
Anyway, what we were saying before the break was that President Biden, is now at a point where he does not give a shit. Speaking of the theme of this episode, I think. And one of the amazing things is that now I feel like he feels like he's more able to kind of let loose and be, let Joe be Joe, so to speak. And I like that he is unfiltered in these situations when you have a guy who is endangering people's lives, that guy being Donald Trump, who is spreading all these horrific lies about the hurricane, about the relief efforts, and is endangering the lives of people throughout the country. And so President Biden has been giving press conferences now the past few days to provide updates on the multiple hurricanes that we have going on. And shout out to, our thoughts go out to everybody in the affected areas. I hope you are in safety listening to us right now, and please just listen to local officials and check FEMA's website for the relief that you could get. They are providing a lot of relief to folks, and so don't be afraid to do that because they're offering a lot. But President Biden keeps getting asked about this. So one of the things that I love to see today is President Biden. He told Trump, they give, "What's your message to Donald Trump?" And listen to what he had to say here. It's perfect.
Mr. President, have you spoken with former President Trump at all?
Are you kidding me? Mr. President Trump, former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people.
Will you hold him accountable?
Get a life, dude.
By the way, it's so typical. It's so typical Joe, right? It's typical Delaware. Get a life, man. I mean, it's like a Northeast sort of comment. And he just laid it, get a life. 3 words, basically floored Von Schitzenpants. 3 words.
And they just and these reporters, honestly, they were asking, I got to say, the dumbest questions on the planet. You have the president of the United States here, and they keep asking about Donald Trump. They keep asking, have you talked to Donald Trump? Are you going to call Donald Trump? It's like, why are we asking all these things? Let's play the next one where they ask something like, why aren't you holding Trump accountable for his lies? Let's play this one.
You said you were going to hold those accountable.
Public will hold them accountable. You better than the press hold them accountable because you know the truth.
Will you plan to speak with former President Trump?
No.
Well, once again, at the end,
they make it seem as if though the president of the United States has to confer with a former president who's a fucking maniac, right? Who has no idea what he's talking about, who is gaslighting and shit stirring and saying everything which is wrong. FEMA, that the way he attacks them is a lie. In fact, the FEMA that he's talking about, which was the worst handling of any natural disaster, the 2 One was the California wildfire, where he didn't want to give any money to California because they don't vote for me. They're not my people. And the other one, believe it or not, was, I think it was Hurricane Harvey that ripped through Texas, that all he cared about was who's stealing money from Texas, as he's talking to Ted Cruz, the smiling jerk off that he is, in the crowd, shaking his head. Yeah, Donald. Okay, Donald. Yeah, we're taking advantage of it.
One of the things that is not factored into the Biden presidency, which I think should be, and this, President Biden still has to be one of the most accomplished presidents in modern history for sure, with the amount of bills he's passed, with the amount he's been able to get done, even during these very divided times. But one of the things that I think always needs to be talked about when the Biden-Harris administration is talked about is that throughout the entire time, they had this maniac kind of pretending to be president in his little weird castle in South Florida and trying to sabotage the administration every step of the way. That's never existed before. And even like it started with the transition, and Trump refused to participate in the transition process to help make a smooth transition to Biden. Also, he's monkeying around a bit with the transition right now, even him and the Heritage Foundation, which is a topic for another day. But then the entire presidency, Donald Trump has exerted all of his energy to try to make Biden fail. And that has never happened. You do not see Bush do that to Obama. You do not see Obama do that to Trump. You do not see that in a long line of presidents going back to the beginning of time. You have not seen that until this maniac. Yet the press tries to act like this is a normal guy who acts in good faith. And that is the part that drives me absolutely up the wall. And you remember, we just heard that clip, right? Where the reporter, as Biden was walking out, goes, President Biden, are you going to call him? Are you going to talk to him? That wasn't even the first time that they asked that question. They asked that. I've heard them ask that same question at least 3 times in the past 24 hours. I'll just play this one other because you'll get the point, but this is unbelievable to me. Play it.
Talking about?
Sir, have you considered calling him and asking him to stop doing that? To stop spreading this?
Oh, come on.
Mr. President.
Even Biden's fed up. Oh, come on. You're seriously still asking me this question? Like, what are we even doing here? And
why what makes this idiot journalists turn around, and why are they kissing up Mr. President? Have you called the former president? Called him? Yeah, I'll tell you what I called him. I called him a fucking jerk off. That's what I call him. I mean, it's like, why are you asking the president of the United States during a crisis right now? Do you realize there are Americans that are dead as a result of the hurricane, both Helene as well as Milton? There are dead Americans. $178 billion in damage so far reported. $178 billion. And this fucking tool, this idiot journalist, is saying, well, have you called former President Trump and asked him to stop? And so you don't have to ask him to stop. The guy should be grown up enough to realize it's not about you, Donald. It's not. It's about taking care of the American people. It's about us all together, a unified front against circumstances that we do not have control over. Though, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene and some of the other Republicans will turn around and tell you that Democrats have a machine that's affecting the weather. I mean, we have really, as a people, we have allowed these lunatics, right, to run the asylum.
It's infected the entire Republican Party, or at least a large chunk of today's Republican Party. And it's sad because, there used to be, Republican ideas I could understand and get, and, you could have friends who, but a lot of those Republicans now are friends of the Midas Touch Network, and they don't really like even calling themselves Republicans because they don't want to associate themselves with this crazy movement. And now, like you just brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's by all accounts one of the leaders of the Republican Party. This is not some fringe person. This is somebody elevated who would have probably a very high role if Donald Trump were to win a presidency. She'd be in like a prime position. She continues to spread that these hurricanes, these storms are being spread by the federal government, or she says they have weather machines, which has some quite anti-Semitic overtones, if you ask me. But then she says that the federal government has weather. They're manipulating the weather because they want to control the weather to target red areas, which isn't even true, in order to try to affect the turnout for the election. And this has become like mainstream thought in this modern day Republican Party. In fact, as we're going back to your favorite guy, Elon Musk, Cohen, Elon today did a reply to somebody on his app, on X, Twitter, and he wrote, come on, no one actually believes that the Democrats are controlling the weather. And all of his people replied saying, no, we absolutely do. They absolutely do. You don't, Elon? You really don't? Like, he got a lot of backlash from his own people for even suggesting that that might not be true. And I think it's just indicative of a sickness that this country has been infected with that maybe didn't begin with Donald Trump, but it used to kind of be in the shadows. Those weren't the people who he elevated to positions of power. Those were people on the fringe. And Donald Trump kind of collected all these crazies, brought them to the mainstream, and gave them all this power. And it's dangerous, especially when you're in these life or death situations. Now we're at a point where the president of the United States has to actually make comments like, there's a congresswoman who says that I am controlling the weather. How stupid is that? Like, this actually has to be brought up at presidential press conferences. Let's listen to Biden talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's unbelievable.
Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. It's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either. They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about? Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop.
I love unfiltered Biden. What else can you say about it, though? It is so stupid.
It's so stupid. But you know what? This stupidity, Brett, is exactly why von Schitzenpants, why his rallies. I don't know if you heard about this one. So this fucking jerk off, right? He went ahead and they rented the most spectacular stadium of all, right? Madison Square Garden. And he's going to do an event here sometime this month. But you know what? He thinks because they filled, and they didn't even fill it. What do you call it? Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island. He thinks he's going to also now fill up Madison Square Garden. But his crowd size is dwindling. It's dwindling. As Barack Obama said, it's getting smaller and smaller, and people are leaving in droves. You know what did you see any of that, Brett?
I was watching the Reading, Pennsylvania rally yesterday, and at first I saw a photo come in from this Washington Post contributor, Dana Milbank. And when I saw this photo, we were passing it around in our group chats here. And for the audio listeners, the entire back section is virtually empty at this Trump event. And the arena only holds 7,200 seats. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of seats in the back that are empty. And so I said, okay, but what time, like, has this begun yet? I'm not going to act like, they're empty seats if it happens before. Like, we're not going to, I need to know the timeline. And so that we found out that was during the pre-speakers. So that was they had Vivek Ramaswamy and all these other people, right? But then Donald Trump comes on stage and most of those seats are still empty. And I go, oh, okay. Let's play the clip. And you could hear Donald Trump speaking in this clip and you could see all the empty seats in the crowd.
Inflation, she wouldn't do that over again either. Maybe the worst of all, and something that a lot of people don't hear about because look at all the fake news. That's a lot of fake news.
You might think, was that sectioned off? Were they not letting people? No, reporters confirmed they just could not fill those seats. You hear Donald Trump ranting about the media. And by the way, at these events, he always points to the cameras and goes, look at them back there, the fake news media. They hate us. They're evil. They're the only people who are there with the cameras at this point are his own propaganda networks. So he's like pointing at RSBN and Newsmax and like acting like they're like MSNBC or something. I really don't quite understand it. But then, of course, Donald Trump in true gaslighting fashion, like he did a few weeks ago when he saw people walking out of his event and said, those people aren't walking out. I promise you they're not walking out, as they're actually walking out. At this event, he's literally staring. Like, just think of his view, right? He's looking straight at a block, an entire section virtually of empty seats. So what is his comments? Play this clip.
We do a lot of these beautiful rallies, and it's so great. We never have an empty seat, never have. Look at it, 100,000 people in Butler, more. Never have an empty. But they said, you know, as you go on, you get angry.
I saw quite a few empty seats at that exact moment. And then we saw people walking out behind him, and you know, it just kept happening. And then he said he had 100,000 people in Butler. The fact is, he had a lot of people in Butler, but he had like 20,000. It's like, you don't need to exaggerate that. And Trump can draw big crowds at places. I'm not saying he can't, but when you see a lot of the energy at a lot of these, especially a lot of these swing states, he's really struggling now to maintain these crowds, and he's becoming more incoherent, and you see people leaving. And it's what Vice President Harris called out at the debate. And you see this constantly getting to him, and you see it happening more and more and more and more. Cohen.
Yeah, look, I don't know what to say. You know, a fact is a fact. You know, why are we arguing with what? Don't even take Brett's word for it. Certainly don't take my word for it, because people will say, oh, you know, Michael hates Donald so much he'll never say anything positive about him. Look for yourself. We show you. We don't say things that we can't back up. You may recall when I was testifying at the various different trials, the only two trials that actually held him accountable on behalf of government civilly and criminally, because every statement that I made was backed up with either documentary evidence or corroborating testimony from several other people. So don't take my word that people are walking out. Don't take Brett's word for it. You don't have to take Midas Touch Networks for it. Take it from yourself. Watch the video and watch as people are leaving while Donald is speaking. And then you need to ask yourself the follow-up question. Why are they leaving? And there's a very simple answer. Because nothing that he is saying is of interest to them. It doesn't make their lives better. It doesn't do anything for the American people. It doesn't do anything for the United States of America. It is simply an overgrown slob standing in front of you, all right, with people with placards yelling and screaming, lying to you every step of the way, and basically doing nothing but spewing more venom and just talking about gripes and, you know, divisiveness and so on and so forth. All right. That's what you're getting. And people are tired of it. Been there, had it, seen it, done it. It's the same shitty shtick since 2016 and 2020. And they're just not interested anymore. Nobody is. So what do? You're not going to sit around for an hour and a half plus while this guy just goes rogue and doesn't follow any type of a script on tell you anything important that would affect your life. No, it's all about the fake media. It's about Joe Biden. It's about migrants eating your cats and dogs. It's about how bad Detroit is. It's all about, you know, how we're a shithole country, that everything is bad. America's bad. There's murder and rape and everything is going on. And so, no, it's not. No, it's not, because all you need to do is just read, and you know that everything that Trump's saying is just a lie. Plain and simple.
One of the interesting things that in the Washington Post did a story a week or two ago about people leaving Trump's rallies. And finally, you know, everybody in the comments always says, why don't they ask the people when they leave why they are leaving? Well, the Washington Post story, they did that, these reporters, they asked them. One of the interesting things I found was one of the people who they spoke with was an undecided voter who went just because, you know, their presidential candidate was in their hometown. And so they decided to go. They left like 20, 30 minutes in. And when they were asked why, they said Trump was late and he was just ranting about himself. And he didn't, he sounded angry and bitter, and he was saying all that weird, dark stuff, and that it convinced them, going to the Trump rally, convinced them that they were going to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, which really, it's like, it shows you when Vice President Harris at the debate said, I'm going to do something a little unusual now. Go to his rallies, see what he has to say, and then come back to me. And it's just interesting that that is exactly what that person did, because when you go, you just hear stuff like this. Like, he calls the wind bullshit. This was like a big moment of his event. It's just bizarre. Watch this.
Of them weren't spinning, and the ones that were going so slow. They were going, it's not too windy, but they're going like slow. The other ones were just dead, but they're all rusting and disgusting looking. And then, the environmentalists say that it's also, very importantly, the most expensive form of energy there is. You cannot get more expensive. The wind, it sounds so wonderful. The wind is bullshit. I'll tell you, it's horrible. So expensive. It's just too expensive. It doesn't work. All of that to do, 1/10 of 1%. I mean, the whole thing is crazy. You remember when I used to say, darling, I want to watch our president tonight on television. And the husband looks, I'm sorry, dear, but the windmills aren't wind. There's no wind tonight. You can't watch, darling. We're not going to be watching tonight. Maybe we'll catch him another time. No, we have to be careful. We have to be smart. We're going to lose our country. These people are crazy. They're crazy.
And it's no message.
You say, that's a lie, because Melania doesn't call him darling too. They're never together watching television. It's true. They have completely separate rooms. They have separate rooms up on the triplex, and they have different rooms at the White House. I don't even know what he's babbling about. But then again, let's just all agree and acknowledge that the guy's batshit crazy and lies about everything.
He lies about everything, and like the things that he says, like when he actually says what he wants to do, are concerning. And because he's so ridiculous, I feel like the corporate media just overlooks it. They're like, oh, that's just him being him. But he says some crazy kind of dangerous things. And his new rants are all about 60 Minutes. He's very upset about Vice President Harris's 60 Minutes interview. So now he's trying to spread conspiracy theories about this, lies about this. By the way, this is the interview, of course, that Trump was going to do until they demanded that they don't fact check him. And then when they said, of course, we're going to fact check you. We're 60 Minutes. We're journalists. Of course, we're going to fact check you. Trump ran away scared like a little baby and refused to be on the show. So now he is out to get 60 Minutes the same way after he lost the debate. He was out to get ABC and started spreading all these conspiracy theories. Like, these are crazy posts. A giant fake news scam by CBS and 60 Minutes. Her real answer was crazy. They replaced it with another answer to make her sound smart. Take away the CBS license. Unprecedented scandal. It's just like, enough is enough is enough. They're like dozens. They're not dozens. Brett, they're like a handful of those.
Brett, can you do a favor? Let's put that last picture back up. And I want our brigaders to take a quick look at, notice the all caps, the non-all caps, the lower caps, then the all caps. Look at what he does here. Real answer was crazy or dumb, right? Everything is so aggressive. Replaced, right? Fake news scam. Take away CBS license. Unprecedented scandal. Wow. I mean, here, drop that. Take that down. I want our brigaders to understand the psyche of a lunatic mind. The guy doesn't know all caps, small caps, whatever. He's expressing himself now with a keyboard. Instead of coming out, if you have an issue and you have a real issue, say it, but make sure that it's backed up by fact, not your fiction, right? Make sure it's backed up by fact.
And this is the person that you'd be giving the code to, the nuclear codes to. Okay, like this is high stakes stuff. And so that's why these next, what did the individual in the chat say? What do we have?
27 days.
27 days. That's why every day is so crucial right now. And you're going to see some polls that are good. You're going to see some polls that are bad. I will say the early voting data does look incredibly good in some of these swing states right now, like very, very good. But we need to keep that momentum, because you have a guy who's openly saying he wants to prosecute CBS, prosecute ABC, prosecute MSNBC. This is actually deranged behavior that is so antithetical to what we stand for as Americans. And I know people watch the show all over the world. This is not who we are as a country. And so it's important that all of us do all of our work. You know, this community here, we had 12,000 people watching live. Imagine if each of those people watching live, and we'll have hundreds of thousands more watch and listen to this over the next 24 hours or so. If all of those people told just a couple people, you know, to make sure they're registered to vote at vote.org, or make sure that they got to the polls or submit their mail-in ballots early. Like, this Political Beatdown audience can make a massive, massive difference. And so, you know, when Cohen and I and my brothers, when we all do all these reports, you know, it's one thing for you to get the info, but I hope after this, you know, you do something with it, whether that's, you know, a little something like even, you know, posting on social media or texting a friend, or maybe
even
you join
even share this episode. Share this episode with a friend and say, you got to watch this, because here on Political Beatdown on the Midas Touch Network, right, on all of the various different podcasts associated with this network, you get the truth. Now, again, a lot of you do say, oh, stop with the F-bomb, stop with your New York, you know, with your New York sort of persona. I can't. I can only be me. But what I'm giving you, what you get here, is the truth. One way or another, we will prove to you that everything that we are saying is factually accurate. And how do we do that? We do that with these posts. We do that with these clips. That's why. That's why we do it. We're not doing it to pass time. I could talk to each and every one of you for well over an hour. We play the clips so you understand this is reality, which is something that you're not getting a lot of from a lot of the other locations, including, you know, cable news, where they're doing it in order to, you know, keep you attracted. I would prefer that we don't even have this beatdown anymore. I would prefer it. But that would, of course, require that von Schitzenpants is gone, and so is the ideology of Trumpism. And remember what I said in the final chapter of my book, Revenge. Trumpism is fascism, and we must eradicate it from our body politic. That's not happening so quickly, and that's why we will stay on, and we will keep doing what we're doing every single day, every Tuesday, every Thursday, on just this show alone. So share it with a friend. That's what you can do.
Love it. Well said, Michael Cohen. And I got to say, it's been such a pleasure doing this show with you over the past few weeks, coming in and out. And I think I'm hoping Ben will be back on Tuesday. We will see about that. But thank you to the Political Beatdown audience also for having me as a co-host. I'm sure I'll be on, you know, at some points as well.
You know, Brett, the one thing is I haven't done it. I'm going to actually need your help on this one, right? I have not done my two-finger salute yet.
This is so true.
All right. And I know people want it. They want to know. The problem is, you can, of course, easily give it to von Schitzenpants.
I think that's too easy for this one.
We did it last year. So I'm trying to think.
I have two options for you. Are you ready?
I
have Marjorie Taylor Greene and her you know, Jews and the federal government control the weather stuff, and I have the reporters asking Biden why he doesn't call Donald Trump. I'll leave.
You know what? That was in the back of my mind. Look, I have called out Marjorie Toilet Greene at least a dozen times on this show with the two-finger salute. You know, she's just a piece of shit, no matter how you want to slice her. She just is. She's a piece of shit. The fact that people have her as a member of Congress is truly an embarrassment to this country, but it has to go to the journalists. It has to go to the journalists that think that they are doing their job, that they're doing proper reporting, that they're not making fools out of the whole system and playing up to the Donald Trump conspiracy, right? I mean, they're taking up valuable time. They're taking up opportunities for other people to ask a question of the president that we all want to know, not about how the Democrats are controlling the weather with some sort of fake shit, or why the president isn't reaching out to von Schitzenpants to ask him why he's lying or what else he's doing. So to you fake fucking journalists, all right, which is really what you are. You waste of fucking human life, all right? Fuck you all. Fuck you on behalf of every single American that actually cares about this election and our democratic republic. You are truly, truly an insult to an industry that is so, so important. And the fact that you just keep spewing and regurgitating Donald Trump horse shit, honestly, fuck you all.
Well, I think we just ended this episode of Political Beatdown with a knockout blow by Michael Cohen there. One day, we'll have to go through and see who's, who's had the most two-finger salutes. So yeah, we'll do a breakdown. But Cohen, thank you so much. Remember to subscribe to the Patreon Political Beatdown, patreon.com/Political Beatdown for exclusive content and meet Michael Cohen this Tuesday. Go and check it out. Also, subscribe to the Michael Cohen channel on YouTube, The Michael Cohen Show.
Please go there right now. I want to be back on the top of the chart. I want to go to number one.
Mea Culpa, Mea Culpa podcast. Go there, add the show, subscribe right now. Yeah, if all you hit the subscribe button right now, play an episode, that'll go right to the top of the chart. So go check that out, Mea Culpa podcast. Cohen, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Any final words on this episode of Political Beatdown?
Just do me a big favor, everybody. YouTube channel, Michael Cohen Show. All right, and subscribe to all the Midas Touch Network podcast. It helps the network, and it helps us get the message out that we all need to get out. Brett, I want to thank you. And if brother's still not ready to come back, always my honor and a pleasure having you with me here. And I know the Brigaders feel the same way. So thank you, my brother.
Put me in, coach, anytime. I'll see you next time. Later.